Okay, it all looks good. So welcome to this weekly live development session. If you're new to these are weekly events that happen at different times and different days with different teachers, and each week usually focusing on some part of either teaching yoga out there in the world or an element of one of the trainings that we have and diving deeper into that. So today is going to be a gentle hatha practice focusing on different arm variations in the poses. So one of the things that I like doing is I love teaching gentle hatha, first of all. And then the other thing I like to do is to mix up my sequences sometimes just by changing up the arm variations. So we don't always have to, and I know that I talk a lot about this in the sessions that I do on sequencing and things like that, but we don't always have to create a whole new sequence. Sometimes we can just take a sequence that we love or our students love, and we can just mix it up a little bit, and it can be really simple things like arm variations. So there's a couple of arm variations that we'll focus on today in some of the different poses. And we'll repeat those and just see what it's like to explore them. So the first one that one of the ones that we'll look at is a side bend. So working on opening up the sides of the body, the intercostal muscles, the sides of the waist. The other one will be we all probably know this, an arm bind. So interlacing the hands together behind and rolling the shoulders back and down. So this is a great way to open the chest, open up the front of the shoulders. And then the other one that we'll work with a little bit is cactus arms. So elbows in line with the shoulders, the chest is opening. This is great for opening the front of the body, but it's also a really nice upper back strengthening position. So those are the three that we will just sort of see how it is to incorporate them into a few different poses so you can play around with them. So I'll invite you to come onto your mat and just come to a seated position. So I won't go all the way back because I think you might not hear me, but I'll go medium way back. And so you're just going to come to a kneeling position and then rest your hands on your thighs and close your eyes. So begin to notice your breath, notice what it's like to breathe in, what it's like to breathe out. And the first few moments of practice are simply to arrive. You're just getting here, you are checking in with your body and your mind and your breath, all these elements that sometimes get away from us, and the first few moments of practice are a way to sort of draw them back into us, draw the breath back into the body, draw the mind back into the body, and bring awareness back into how we're feeling. So we'll take just another couple of breaths, sitting, arriving, noticing. And then start just exploring a little movement. I always like to just start moving my shoulders. You might move your head and your neck to begin with, but just starting to awaken. If you're rolling the shoulders like me, you can go in the opposite direction. If you're moving your head and your neck, you might start to expand that to your arms and just start sort of stretching a little. You're waking up from a really, really lovely nap. If you're comfortable continuing to sit how you're sitting, this is great. You can also switch your legs out and come to a more comfortable position at this moment in time. Take just another minute or two here in a seated position. So because in this practice today, we're going to be exploring a few different arm variations, we'll just set the scene by seeing what they're like to explore at this moment in time. So we'll start with that side bend. So you can stay seated how you are. Just start to inhale and reach your right arm up. And as you exhale, start to lean to the left. You might take your left hand out to the side. You could tent those fingers. And then as you start to lean over, keep your right hip grounded, the right leg grounded, and then reach up through the right fingertips. So find a little bit more length and space. So this is our side bend on the right side. Take a deep breath in. And then on the exhale, come back to center. We'll do this on the other side. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale, lean over to the right. Take the right fingers out, tenting them on the floor. Ground down through the left hip. And then reach up to the left fingers, just like a tiny bit more space coming in. Take a deep inhale breath. And then exhale. Release, come back to center. We'll find that bind, so stay sitting. I'm just going to spin so you can see. We'll interlace the hands together behind us. Keep a little micro bend in the elbow. And as you inhale, start to lift the chest up. Roll the shoulders back. You can keep that micro bend in your elbow or just start to lengthen the knuckles down towards the toes or the feet. Your head can stay very neutral, or if it feels okay in your neck, just start to gaze up slightly, just sort of up to where the wall and the ceiling meet. Take a deep inhale breath. And then on the exhale, release, roll the shoulders up, back, and settle them down. Now we'll find our cactus arms. So bring your arms out wide like a T. Bend at the elbows, so you've got a 90-degree angle in both of your arms here. Draw the tips of the shoulder blades together behind you. Keep the belly engaged, and then start to lift the chest and lift the eyes up with your cactus arms. So you'll notice there's an extension in the spine, there's an opening in the chest, and there's a strengthening in the back of the body. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, release. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Find your way to tabletop position. So come to hands and knees. You can give your legs a little bit of a shake out. And stack your wrists under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. We'll start to find a cat-cow flow here. So as you inhale, lower the belly, open the chest, look forward or up. And then exhale, round the spine. Press the mat away. Inhale, lower belly, open chest, look forward or up. Exhale as you round. Let's do two more like this. Inhale, lower belly, open the chest. Exhale as you round. And last one, inhale, lower belly, widen collarbones, look forward or up. Exhale, round the spine. Come back to a neutral position, look forward and step your right foot by your right thumb. You can always tent your right hand to find a little extra space to bring that foot there. Shimmy your left knee back a little bit. You can pat it as needed. Your back thigh, your left thigh is on an angle. And then bring your hands to your right thigh as you roll up into your low lunge position here. As you sink down into your hips, roll your right hip back, your left hip forward. And pause, just notice how it feels. Back toes can be tucked under, or if it feels good, you could flatten the back foot, see what feels more stable for the knee. Release the arms down by the sides, and then float the arms upwards. Take a deep inhale breath. On the exhale, bring your right hand to your right hip. Keep the left arm reaching up. And then slowly lean over to the right. So this is our side stretch with the arms in our low lunge. Rooting down through the left hip here, reaching up through the left fingertips. Take a deep inhale breath. And then exhale, release. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, cactus your arms now. So wide elbows. Chest is lifting, eyes can be forward, or you might lift your eyes up a little bit here too. So there might be a little more of a back bend here in this arm variation. Deep inhale breath. And then exhale, release, interlace the hands together behind you, slide the thumbs down your back thigh. So now we're in our arm bind here, chest is lifting, tips of the shoulder blades drawing together, deep inhale breath. And then exhale, release, hands down. You might tense your fingers, slide your right knee back to meet your left. You're back in tabletop for a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale, lower belly, open chest. Exhale to round. So keep flowing for about 3 more rounds of cat-cow. And just a note here as we explore these poses with these 3 different arm variations is, if you're sequencing a class, you can of course just do one of these variations in each pose. We're just doing 3 today, just so you get a sense of the options that you have for adding arm variations into some poses. After your next exhale breath, come back to neutral, back to table. We'll do this on the left side. So stepping left foot to left thumb, you can always tense your left fingers first to find space to bring that left foot through. And then shimmy right knee back, back thigh at an angle. Hands to your left thigh as you roll up. I always like this moment when I arrive in a low lunge just to check in. So how does it feel? What is it like at this moment in time? Left hip back, right hip rolling forward. Belly engaged. We'll release the arms down by the sides. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. On the exhale, bring left hand, left hip. Right arm keeps reaching up, and then our side bend. So just leaning over to the left here. And again, see if you can think about reaching up through those right fingers. Deep breath in. Exhale, release up back. Reach both arms up. And then we'll start to bend into our cactus arms here. So elbows in line with the shoulders, chest lifting. Tons of space in the front of your body here. Deep inhale breath. And then exhale, we'll find that bind. We'll interlace the hands together behind us. Keep a little bend in your elbows. And then start to lift the chest, roll the shoulders back and down, and then begin to extend the knuckles down towards the back thigh or the back knee. This is such a nice way to find space in the upper body and space in the lower body in this shape with this variation. Let's inhale together. And then we'll exhale to release, bring the hands down, step back to a tabletop position, and this time just move freely, super freely. Let's move your hips, your shoulders, your spine, just kind of snaking it around a little bit. And then very simply, we'll step into a standing forward fold at the top of the mat. So just look forward, step one foot, and then the other foot forward. As you bend your knees enough that your fingers can rest down on your mat or props if you're using props here today. Maybe move the head a little. Shake no, not yes. See how it's feeling in that neck. And then we'll very slowly begin rolling up to stand. So take your time. You can always walk your hands up your thighs for support as you come all the way up. To stand. Just checking in here. All good. All right. So we've started on the mat in sort of a nice relaxed way. And so now we'll explore a standing balance pose. So tree pose. So bring your feet together. Big toe mounds connected. Leave your right foot where it is. Come up onto the ball of your left foot. Let your left knee turn out. Keep your hips steady. This is tree. Toes can stay where they are. Foot might come to shin, or you might bring it into your upper thigh. Traditionally in tree pose, we have the hands together at the chest, or we reach the arms up. But today, you might explore one of our arm variation options. So maybe you're taking a bind, interlace the hands together. Chest lifting, maybe the eyes lifting if the balance is okay. Or you could take cactus arms here in your tree. So one thing I sometimes like to do, depending on how balance is to flow a little bit with the arms. So sometimes I inhale the arms up, exhale cactus. Inhale, sweep the arms up, exhale cactus. So you can play around a little bit in your tree pose. And then we'll come out of it on this side and we'll just shake it out because we've probably been there a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we'll come up onto the ball of the right foot and the right knee out, and then find your tree. And maybe explore a different arm variation on the side. Maybe if you did cactus arms, see what the bind is like, or if you're maybe curious about flowing with the arms a little bit here, you can definitely do that. So it's definitely when we're changing the arm variation from something quite stable and in line with this long lengthened body, it will change the balance a little bit. So it's nice to advise your students that as we move the arms, then the body might wibble and wobble a little more. This is okay. And so we'll start to release that foot and we'll give it a little bit of a shake out. And then I invite you to come to the top of your mat into Tadasana. So we're going to set up for Warrior One. So have your feet about hip width apart, bring your hands to your hips and step your left foot back just a few feet, your back toes, your left toes, on about a 45-degree angle. Bend into the right knee, roll right hip back, left hip forward. This is Warrior One. Traditionally, we'd have the arms up, lengthening. So we've got a couple of possibilities. We can actually use all of these 3 arm variations that we've been exploring. So you could bring right hand to right hip, left arm reaching up, and then find a little side bend in your Warrior One. Nice variation, nice way to keep finding space in the back of the body. You could find a bind. So this is something that's done quite a bit. And then if you kept that bind and folded forward, that would be Humble Warrior, also an option. And then the other that I love to do is cactus arms, but with a little bit of a flow. So with my cactus arms, I inhale, lift the chest, lift the eyes. On the exhale, I find a cat shape and I draw the elbows in towards each other, the palms facing me. Little rounding of the spine. And then I inhale to lift the chest. And then I exhale, curling in. So this is a cat-cow variation with the cactus arms in your Warrior One. We'll release whatever arm variation we have. We'll bring the hands to the hips. We'll step forward. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll leave the left foot where it is, step the right foot back. Hands to the hips, pelvis square, bend into the left thigh. And then just explore, just see maybe what variation your body wants to try. Maybe it's that cactus with the cat-cow. Maybe it's the bind, Humble Warrior, or maybe it's the side stretch in your Warrior One. And so if you were teaching a class about cat-cow and those 2 movements of the shapes, you can see how you can bring cat-cow into a lot of different places besides just tabletop cat-cow. I've got seated cat-cow, tabletop cat-cow. You can do a cat-cow in kind of a chair pose, tons of possibilities. So you can be really, really creative and simple and gentle at the same time, which is sort of the key for this practice anyway. So we'll release wherever we are, whatever variation, and we'll just step back to the top of the mat. And we'll just give that a little bit of a shake out. So all those same variations would probably work in a high lunge, might be a little bit more unstable, and we won't explore it because time is not in our favor today. And then we'll come into just a Warrior Two. So we're at the top of the mat. We'll keep the left foot where it is this time. Step the right foot way, way back, about an 85-degree angle. So traditionally we have the arms wide on either side of us, which is beautiful. Humble Warrior in Warrior 2 is very similar to Warrior 1, arms interlaced, chest lifting, and you can always fold down there. And then you also can do cactus arms. It's a little bit more challenging with this back arm, I think, but it's a possibility. We have a built-in side stretch in Warrior 2 with Humble Warrior, so already something that we explore. So we can find all three in our Warrior 2. Just to keep things even as we speed up a little bit here, we'll just pivot to the other side and then just see how all those three feel. So find your Warrior 2 and then what is cactus arms like here? A bit odd. What is interlacing my hands together like? Maybe if I'm feeling comfortable, I might fold in. And then, what is it like to find my side stretch? So if I was teaching, or you can come back to center, and then just find your way back to standing on your mat. So if I was teaching a normal paced hatha practice, then I would spread it out a little bit with some other poses, but you can see how we're already at sort of like the peak of the curve of the class in terms of probably time and intensity, and we've worked in those arm variations quite a number of times, and we're not even done. Well, we're almost done. So we're going to imagine that part is done, and then I'm just going to ask you to stand in Tadasana and then just slowly roll down. Just take your time, bend your knees, come all the way down, and find your way to sitting. So come to sit on your mat. And then from seated, so we're in this beautiful seated position, just lengthen up through your spine, rest your hands on your thighs, and close your eyes for a moment. Diego's just arrived to say hello. Let's take one more breath. So then now, in the flow of a gentle hatha practice, we probably come into some seated positions. Seated forward folds, maybe we do, a nice butterfly forward fold, a seated twist maybe, and then you'll eventually start to think about coming down onto your back, onto your mat, to do the final cool down of the class. And so if you want to make your way down to lie down, you can do that. If you want to stay seated with me, that's absolutely great too. So, for example, if we were exploring the hands interlaced together behind us bind, then we could come into bridge pose once we're down on our backs, because that's still exploring that type of shape. You could just come into a very passive kind of cactus arms, and then maybe a butterfly with your legs if you are really focusing on the cactus arms, for a nice little back bend, but a hip opener at the same time. And then side stretch, if you wanted to keep exploring it a little bit on your back, there's banana asana, which is from yin yoga, but it's basically you make a banana shape with your body on the mat, and the arms can be up overhead. And so this is a nice way to bring the arm variation into the cool down as well. So it's important when you're theming your class, whether you're theming it through philosophy or an intention or sequencing, to thread it throughout the whole thing. So finding a creative way to bring the arm variation into the very final stages of the class as well. So that's sort of what a gentle hatha practice with arm variations might look like. And it's not just for gentle hatha, you can do it in any type of class that you would like, but it's a way that you can think about, first of all, how simple it is to do arm variations. The how simple it is to repeat the arm variations in different poses, and also how you can thread that throughout a practice. So I know that sometimes sequencing can be really challenging when you're new to it. So just hypothetically, if our theme was, let's say our theme is finding space. It's a theme that I love for all of my yoga classes, but my theme is finding space. And my focus, my philosophical focus, we might call it, or the thing I'd like to draw to attention to students is mindfulness of space in the body. We're just creating this class now. So mindfulness of space in the body. And we will be moving through a very typical Hatha class, and we'll be adding in arm variations with a bind to help us find extra space in the front of the body. And then I can build all my poses from that. I can take the same things we did, start seated in meditation. I'd probably do a little bit of a seated warm-up, maybe cat-cow we could do. And then we'd move to table. We'd do the low lunge like we did, maybe step forward, forward fold, come up, do some standing poses, a balance pose, come down, start to do some seated poses, cool down, lie down, and find a way to bring that arm variation into as many poses as makes sense and is doable. So it can be really easy to do, and then you can take that same sequence and then change it to a heart opening sequence. And instead of the bind behind, we do cactus arms, and we focus on flowing a little bit, and cat-cow, and moving the spine and moving the chest and moving the shoulders. So we don't have to go and write out a whole new sequence each time. We just take that sequence, adjust it a little bit, and then we have a whole new class. And your students, they will love it. They won't know that it's the same. They might think it's similar in some ways, but it's a whole new class in essence. So it saves you some time. It allows you to work with the poses that you're most confident with and comfortable with. And it gives you some variety in your teaching, which is kind of the spice of teaching life, is mixing things up a little bit and trying something new, but within your comfort zone to begin with, because that's really important. So I hope that this was helpful as a little bit of a way to practice with me, but then also as a workshop type class to look at arm variations in a sort of creative and simple way, I hope. And I love gentle hatha classes because that's what I practice myself mostly. And so if you have any questions about the arm variations, gentle hatha, or anything, just pop a comment and I'll be happy to answer them throughout the day today. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Take care.